Commissioner, Mr. President, I rise again, I'm afraid, to make the same old hoary speech that I've been making here for several years, and that is, it is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They are broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they do not actually have. It is a criminal scandal, and it has been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
You know, I just love that clip. Welcome, my friends, to another video. We're going to be talking about the global economic slowdown and a $9 trillion corporate debt bubble that is ready to explode. Yes, that's right, my friends. So strap in and get ready, because here we go. Interestingly enough, is if we go back in history, we start to see that throughout time, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but boy, oh boy, is it similar. And so what we're starting to see right now is we're starting to see talking heads, economists, Ray Dalio type people, Jordan Peterson type people coming out talking on TV about a global economic slowdown, a global economic crisis. Some of them are a little bit more polarizing than others, but essentially that things aren't as good as everyone just assumed they were, and that the economy is starting to weaken. When that starts to happen, it's already started. The global economic slowdown, the US economic slowdown, whatever, both are already in play. And look around. Italy, Greece, Turkey, Venezuela. Look around. Argentina. There's already a problem. And it's already in motion. Okay, now there are some countries thriving still and really making some key plays and some key moves right now. But overall, there is a global slowdown, yes. And so now we're starting to see it brought up on headlines and newspapers. We're starting to see it get more airtime and more feature time across mainstream media, because again, it's seeding that consciousness so that they can point back on this and bring this up in the future when it's actually here. And it's like framing themselves as almost false prophets. All right, so you heard it, $9 trillion. I'm using CNBC, I know, it's a big no-no. Companies are carrying a $9 trillion debt load, posing a potential threat should rates continue to rise and economy weaken. A corporate debt load that is escalated thanks to easy borrowing terms and a seemingly endless thirst from investors. Yes, when you make the terms really, really simple, everyone wants to come and get more. See, here's Ray Dalio here. Total corporate debt has swelled from nearly $4.9 trillion in 2007, as the Great Recession was just getting started to break out, to nearly $9.1 trillion halfway through 2018. That's right, that's not even Q3 numbers. That is Q2 numbers. So that is a 86% surge over the last 10 years. And interestingly enough, we have some sort of glitch, some sort of global slowdown, some sort of depression, recession, inflation hit every 10 or 11 years. So we're right on track. And I'll tell you what, I'm not the only one that says this, but when things hit the fan in 2007, 2008, which all that started in 2006, believe it or not. It would have all been okay if they wouldn't have given the banks a bailout, because what it would have proved is that fractional reserve banking has its limits. Quantitative easing is stupid, and we need to come up with a better plan. But we were too lazy to make a better plan, so we just did what was easy. Just like we all know that's true in life, is that at every corner, at every opportunity, at every situation, you have like almost this crossroads of this is what feels like is easy right now, but I don't know if it'll be easy down the road, and I don't know what kind of repercussions it'll lead to down the road. And then I've got this choice over here on the other hand, which seems like it's hard right now, but probably will be better in the long run. And 99% of the time, even bankers, who for some reason people just assume are smart, but they're not necessarily, they reach for what's easy right now. Because nobody likes to be in pain for very long. Nobody likes to feel that pain for very long. So get rid of the pain, you know, give me the Novocaine, give me the pain reliever now. It'll be interesting how this all fits in with the rest of the debt levels in the United States. We've got the student loan debt. Now we've got corporate debt. We've got a mini housing issue as well. We got a Social Security issue. I mean, none of this leads to a good outcome. But to be clear, this is where a lot of people like divert into this like end of the world apocalypse type conversation. I just don't see that. I wouldn't be willing to partake in that if others were. You know, I'm strong and resolute in my beliefs and myself. I feel secure with the plan that I've got for myself. And so I won't be letting emotions grab me and partaking in that side of things if it were to ever get that way, but time will tell, you know? So the best thing you can do for yourself, of course, is the thing I say every video, is make a plan and work that plan for yourself and for your family. And that way, no matter what happens, you still are better off than ignoring this. Okay, the worst thing you could do is ignore all this. The best thing you could do is make a plan and then just keep dialing in that plan as time goes on. You're not gonna get it perfect out of the gates. That's okay. That's not the point. The point is to do something and get momentum. And that way it's easier to kind of pivot and move as the landscape continues to shift. Okay, I got one more piece to share with you. Remember the news, the echoes that the Pentagon was gonna get an audit. And everyone's like, nah, Pentagon's never been audited. Jay, you're crazy. That's never gonna happen. Well, it did. And here's what's funny about this. Patrick Shanahan, who's the Deputy Secretary of Defense, here's what he said. We never thought we were going to pass an audit, right? Everyone was betting against us that we wouldn't even do the audit. It's essentially like they're saying, since nobody thought we were gonna do it, it's cool that we failed it. That's a big deal, no big deal. And they didn't disclose, but they said that they've got some serious issues with spending. They've got some serious discrepancies with spending. And we've heard rumors of this, right? Like you've heard about it, like $1,200 toothbrushes and billables that are just through the roof, astronomically high. And this isn't the first area of the US government that's fallen for this and had this problem. This is actually just a long, ongoing problem. But anyways, yeah, they did the audit and they failed it. And apparently that's okay. And so what's interesting about this is that the Pentagon answers to us, the taxpayers. But how does this work now? Do you and I get to now go talk to the Pentagon? Do we get to have a court hearing? Because this is what would happen with us. As a taxpayer, if you default, if you do things like this, then you are held accountable, correct? Well, I would just like to see the Pentagon held accountable. So it's like, okay, where do we go from here now? Do we have like an open session to where like the actual people of the United States get to come and talk about these things or ask questions? Like, now what do we do? How are you gonna fix this? Where's my money? I feel like I know that that's not gonna happen, but shouldn't it? And this double standard, I think, is what's really starting to wear thin on most of the American public. Is it's the double standard that whether it's a politician who's got a lot of good friends and Hollywood friends, or a Hollywood actor who has a lot of politician friends, or the government themselves, they've got a separate set of rules from the general public. And it's like, homie, don't play that. It's only gonna work like that for so long until people are just sick and tired of it, because they're working off of two systems. And now that the two clearly cut systems are becoming so public and so known, people are really starting to throw up their hands and just say, well, guess what? You failed your audit and you paid $12,000 for a toothbrush. I'm not paying my car payment next month. Suck it. And it makes total sense, right? That being said, I like that this is happening. I like that such an awakening is happening and such a spreading of information is happening. That's what makes videos like this so powerful, is the fact that then you watch it and then your friends watch it, or you send it to your brother. We've had videos that were shared in thousands of playlists. That's the best thing you can do with information like this, and that's the best way that you can help support us, actually, besides clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, commenting below and interacting with us, is just share this around. around in your playlists, in your circles that you're already talking to about these things, because the more people that know this, the more it will fail to work. What I mean is that the more the double standard will start to fall apart is based on the spread of information like this between me and you, my friends. So let's spread this information, let's keep sharing it and get it out there so that we can start to rebuild and reshape some of these rules and old ways of doing things that obviously aren't working anymore. That's all I got for you in this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, like it, comment below if you want to interact with us, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if this is your first time to the channel. And stay tuned, we got more videos dropping so soon. Bye.